tell everybody about you. Tell us about your background, and tell us what it is you're doing online.
Sure. My name is Nicole, and I run a website called yournursingtutor.com. That's a membership now. I pivoted this earlier this year, but I actually started, this has been a hobby business for me for over 10 years. Before I went into nursing, I thought I was going to be a clinical psychology professor. And so I was in a PhD program for clinical psychology, met my husband, life happened. He was Navy. We moved. I just changed career tracks because it just wasn't going to work out with the family life. So I went to nursing school, got my RN. And while I was in nursing school, I just kind of started helping by tutoring some of my classmates. My school picked up on that I was helping, and they hired me as the only nursing tutor at the school.
Wow,
and,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's funny how that stuff works out, isn't it?
It is. The crazy thing is that they always would send me everybody. So there were people ahead of me from the program that were coming to me for tutoring.
Wow.
And it just kind of blew my mind because I was actually able to help them. And I'm like, I haven't taken this class yet, but I think you just need to kind of study this way.
This wasn't like, you weren't like this savant, knew all, somehow the universe had downloaded all the nursing information into your brain.
I actually failed my very first nursing quiz, like my first nursing class. I took my first quiz, thought I was prepared, and I got a D on it. And I was just like, it was a big wake up call because I'm like, okay, the things that I've done, the way I've studied up to this point,
don't work here for nursing. Yeah, right.
What's going on? But I've always had this kind of teaching bent. I've done teaching in like other areas, previous to nursing. And so when I graduated nursing school, there was nobody to replace me. And so a lot of the students that had been behind me, hadn't graduated yet, they kept calling me and they were like, can you still help us? And so we had a group that just started coming to my house every week. And I would work with them until they graduated.
This sounds like a church plant.
Yeah,
well,
right?
I sat down and talked to somebody, and then we started meeting in my house. Next thing you knew, we had a family life center. It was the craziest journey I've ever seen in my life. It really does. It's just so organic that they all fell into your lap,
Absolutely. And I really feel like it was a God story. And but I was busy being a new nurse because I was working at the time, and I was pregnant with our first child. And so I just had a lot on my plate. And when I decided to start Your Nursing Tutor, it was just because I knew that this was needed. Like nobody out there was showing nursing students how to study.
Yeah, it was all like content-based teaching.
Yeah, it's all like memorize. You need to know all this stuff. And they were already overwhelmed. And then they're being told, you're not doing enough. So I was like, it's more important how you study versus what you study, and then use what you know. But when I started Your Nursing Tutor, the ironic thing is my original idea was to make it a membership site. And I remember I even launched it as a membership site for 3 whole months, just thinking, because I'm like, that's a great business model. It'll give us money every month. And then I didn't follow through. I felt the pressure. I just didn't feel like I could keep up with the content creation, and I canceled it after 3 months, refunded people who had paid me for
oh my gosh,
a year in advance. And then 10 years later, here I am. And I'm like, I probably should have stuck with that or figured it out back then.
It's funny though, because this industry, and everybody listening to this probably listens to other podcasts too, and they hear these launch stories of Tony Robbins making $10 million in a day, and so did $100,000 launch, and we hear all these get rich quick mega stories where lightning in a bottle happened, right? Yeah. And then the membership model is very different. It's patient. It's the tortoise, not the hare, or I like to say, the glacier, not the prairie fire. I don't want to burn out spectacularly. I want to be here forever, and just to be an unstoppable move. But glaciers are built one snowflake at a time, and that's the hard part. It does feel like, okay, this is going to take a little bit of effort here, but it's like you do the work up front. And then your life becomes easier, where everybody else gets something happen up front and then their life collapses. And we don't want to be on that side of the equation.
And I would say I definitely had struggled with that. I feel like I'm recovering over that because, so I was selling courses in, in between time. And it was, I never did any big launches. I was very much just evergreen, just, organic traffic. And I would take like a year break from doing anything other than customer service. So that's why I say it was just very much a hobby business at that point. I would go in spurts where I would like really work it hard, but it was a lot with that mindset, like, oh, I have this new shiny idea and I'm going to hit it big. So let me implement this. And then it just kind of like, it happens. And then I'm like, it's on the back burner for another year.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. That is burnout, is what that is. Of living launch to launch and chasing the next shiny object, because everybody. I see ads all the time, and they're like, the one big secret, the only true thing, new discovery. And I'm like, really? Not really. That's not how it works. Like really, it's just being consistent, being prolific, and being relentless. And
I've tried to avoid that for so many years, and it's just the truth. You can't get away from it.
Well, you are being consistent now, and you're being prolific now, and you're being relentless now. I finally learned
my lesson.
You have learned your lesson. So you have launched your membership. How many members do you have as of today?
I have 20 members right now.
That is amazing. Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. That is all. I mean, that's a great foundation. Everybody hopes to beta out 20 members, right? In a couple of months. And you've only been doing this. You only launched it like 3 months ago. Is that right?
At the end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah. So we're in June right now when we're recording this. So, I mean, that's it. That's what you got to do. It's what you got to stack. That's inspiring to see you do that. And now, hopefully 10 years from now, we will have hundreds of those people living in that membership. Instead of looking back in regret of not following.
Yes. I'd be like, I should have stuck with that.
I should have done it. And what is the website domain again? Just to make sure I get it.
YourNursingTutor.com.
YourNursingTutor.com.